Hello, welcome back to Mining Network. I'm with Glenn Jessam again. You'll probably recognize him. He's been on a few times, the CEO of Silver Tiger. Glenn, good to be with you.
Thank you for having me back on, Peter. Appreciate it.
You've been embargoed from talking for about a month now. Obviously, you've just closed the financing. It's crossed the wire today. So, wanted to get a quick update from you. Fair amount of money. What's it for, and what was the idea behind it?
Well, as I looked out over it, basically, yeah, it's always about managing risk, Peter. For that's what we do for the company at all times. And I looked at this kind of. It was over 2 years ago. We raised money. BMO led an $18 million bought deal financing for us over 2 years ago. We've taken that money a long way. I want to talk about that in a minute. That was, I think, 24 hours, if I recall, before Russia invaded Ukraine. So that was very timely. The world went upside down for quite a while. We were dealing with a little bit of negative sentiment in Mexico at that time. So get your money and do your work. And we did. And boy, have we ever done our work and got down the road. As I looked at this, I was on the road pretty well, steady marketing. January, February, March, ended up in Zurich at the Swiss Mining Institute conference, and you could see all the talk about tariffs and Liberation Day in the United States. Mr. Trump talking about that, and you could just see the uncomfortableness of even the tariffs that have been issued before that. I thought it was going to be very create a lot of risk. Boy, did it ever! It still does. Such uncertainty. So we had the opportunity. We had two banks come just, I think, the day that I was finishing up in Zurich. Both of them offered a $15 million bought deal. So basically, as I flew back that weekend, I considered it. I looked at all of the risk and I said, we need to do this. We do. We were down to $3 million. We'd taken our 18, spent it down almost not to fumes, but we were getting close. And who knows after risk is on like it is now, when money would be available again. And we needed it, Peter. So we'll talk about what we needed it for here immediately almost. But I want to go back and I think your shareholders should keep a scorecard of what you say and what you do. We took that 18 million over 2 years ago. We delivered two mineral resource estimates with that. We delivered a PEA for the open pit. We delivered a PFS, which everyone has seen with extremely robust economics for our open pit mine. We drilled. We developed a half kilometer underground where we now underground drill the underground portion of the deposit from. We built a 47-kilometer, 365-day road, uh, um, right from the highway to the site where we hauled that big mill we already own in on. So wonderful, wonderful access, and bought and paid for pretty well, except for the bench work over the next month or so, a PEA for the underground, which we're very excited to get out. So, boy, we went a long way and drained the bank account down to 3 million. Now why? Well, really important that people understand, what goes into these decisions. I think it's important to explain it, because you'll always get people saying the following: "Oh boy, you're almost out of money. You're broke. That's a big risk." And then when you take the money, "Oh no, you took the money. Now you've diluted." We need to keep going and drive the project. We've proven that over the last 2 years. Now, why? I think that we're very, very close to getting our permit. I've said that many times. Amendment. Remember, it's a modification permit for us for the open pit. And people say, "Well, what happens when that comes?" Well, yes, I have 3 term sheets. I've told everybody that, for $100 million each, all different kind of components to them, and we're negotiating and looking at those right now. But those, even when I accept which is the best one, it will be subject to permit, which will mean when the permit comes, there's about 3 months of work, maybe 4 months of work that needs to be done with the bankers. You can't get it just done for the day you get the permit. They have to do their due diligence, they have to get the paperwork done. Call it 90 days. Let's just call it 90 days to get that done. That's an aggressive time frame. Well, when I get that permit with $3 million in the bank, I just got to sit there and wait. I can't wait because there's lots to be done. Immediately when I get that permit, I need to spend 4 million US dollars. I've talked about this before. pay to CFE, which is the power regulator in Mexico, so that they can start immediately to build that transmission line to the project. Number one, 4 million US. I only had 3 million Canadian. That would have been a problem. Number two, we have to file what's called a change of use of land. You have to pay a fee for that. I think it's about 1.2 million US. Quote me on that, but it's around there. Francisco Albalez has to get to work immediately. He has to basically immediately build a 250 person man camp. That starts the day we get the permit. Number two, we have to basically start some preliminary earthworks and to get that done. And number three, you have to finish the detailed engineering. We're going to use Cape Cassidy for that. Okay. All of those things require money. I can't sit there for 90 days or 120 days. So that's why. To keep on going. And remember to finish the PEA for the underground, which is still going to be very, very important. Door number two of the project. And the last thing is we're just continue to explore and continue to drill underground. So, um, many would say that I have a high tolerance for risk and taking the account all the way down to $3 million. But you have to basically get as much value as you can, create as much market cap value as you can for the shareholders before you get to the point where you just need to keep going and take the money. So that's why we did it. It was absolutely the right decision. I would do it 1,000 out of 1,000 times. And boy, as we look at what happened after I made the decision, I mean, we're looking like we made a great call in a very risky world.
Yeah, it would have been a lot harder to do that deal, if you tried to pull the trigger on it now. So well done on the
And it
timing.
would be
The
impossible to do it right now, impossible.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah.
agreed. Just talk me through. You're talking about the timeline there. Obviously, you got 3 months of DD and paperwork that needs to be finished with the banks. As soon as those permits have been submitted, just remind people what's the timeline when we're actually going to see some production out of the Tiger.
Well, I mean, if you look at, let's just go to the, can we do it faster? Maybe, but let's go right back to the study, the PFS, and the build time is 18 months. So this is, look, it's easier mining. Nothing's easy in the mining world, but when you look at this is a big earth moving exercise. At the end when it's fully ramped, it's 15,000 tons per day. It's blast rock. It's haul it to a three-stage crusher. It's crush it, no agglomeration required. Convey it to a heap leach and hit it with cyanide, and then it goes through the Merrill-Crowe. So easier, no underground development, none of those things. So 18 months is a very very quick time frame, and that's what's in the study. Can we do it a little faster? Well, we'll see, but 18 months or less. Let's say that.
But if you're obviously we can't put a date in terms of the permit, but if it's coming soon, we did an interview a little while ago, and we were talking about one of the energy ministers or one of the mining ministers talking about permits coming within the next 3 months or so. That was back in March. I mean, if we were to assume that we'd see a permit um, by the end of June, obviously not saying it is going to come by then, but let's assume that it could do. What are we thinking then? So we're thinking by the end of 26 that you guys should be in production by that point around then.
You would be bang on with that. I would like to see, late, if everything went beautifully, and we're going to try to make it go beautifully, and smoothly. I would say we would be looking at late 2026. Be very exciting. And then, of course, as we're doing that, developing and continuing to move that underground forward with a PEA on the way to PFS and more drilling. So it'll be a busy 18 months, but that's what we're committed to do.
Yeah, and just a quick question on the silver. Something we've been talking about on the channel quite a lot is the supply demand imbalance within the silver market. I think we've had about a 5 year period of supply deficits within silver. Um, with Mexico now being a bit more lenient, or I guess a bit more open to permits and the time frame of them, is how many projects do you think can realistically get up and running in the same time frame as yourselves by sort of the end of 2026? Are there many other projects that you foresee sort of matching you and getting into production by then?
I don't think I want to comment with respect to other projects. I think that basically, let's just go with the facts and not me, a hypothesis that I may have, and I do have a hypothesis, very positive. But if we looked at March at PDAC, um, the minister of Boitez, and we would call him the minister of mining here in Canada, similar title. They have a different one in Mexico. Um, and he made that speech where he just basically said that, more modification permits, and a Tigre is a modification permit. Remember that, uh, would be issued, and that continues. And then, if you go and look at any of the reports, and I think that's been broadly circulated, I think your show even circulated a summary of the speech he made from one of the Mexican publications or papers down there. Um, they said they were going to do work into, I think it was June, with some more regulations they had to tidy up, and then basically said that there would be, and I'm paraphrasing, new permits issued after that, which means more than one. There are many that are pending. And what was really interesting, though, was the qualification that an underground permit and an open pit permit will be, considered pursuant to pursuant basically the same. And of course, the rules and all of the regulations that have to apply to the issuance would be maybe applied a little differently, but very positive. So a roundabout way of saying it, I don't want to guess. I don't want to, guess about other companies. I feel real great about El Tigre getting what it needs to be permitted. I just think it's a matter of when. And the other companies, I think, are going to be getting very, very positive news also. But I'll leave it to them to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I guess my point was more. I think you're going to be on the front end in terms of when new supply is going to be coming online from the silver space, and given this supply deficit, it's I imagine you'll be in a nice position to take advantage of it when you are in production.
I guess what I could say is the following. I think that there will be more permits issued. I think that that is going to be, no matter who gets underground or open pit permits, all of us are going to benefit from that. If I get the first one or the third one or the fourth one, well, we're there, depending on who didn't get theirs first, second, third, or fifth, everybody's going to benefit because everybody will know that it's coming. The last thing I'll say on that, I do know the projects there in Mexico, and looking over the horizon of how long the builds will be. Let's say we all get them around the same time, within 2 or 3 or 4 months of each other, and some new permits come or modifications come that people can build on. I know the projects well enough that if we execute on 18 months, we will be, in all likelihood, the first to production, if that was your point, for sure.
Yeah, that was
That
definitely
was
my
yes, we'll
point.
be we'll be adding to the world silver supply in Mexico probably sooner than most.
Yeah, no, agreed. Good, Glenn. Thank you very much for the update.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me, Peter.